Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Unglamorous Truths, the podcast where we discuss making it in the industry come hell or high water. I'm Chandra.
I'm Emevitt.
I'm Crystal.
Today we're going to talk about something that is very near and dear to our hearts, how to be good collaborators. And we always like to start it off with a fun question. So my question today is, what is your favorite collaboration? And so I have two, and I definitely spent time trying to battle it out, and I couldn't choose between them. So we're going to just do both today.
Okay.
So the first one is Alfred Hitchcock and James Stewart, because, from that you get Rear Window, obviously, Vertigo, my favorite, The Man Who Knew Too Much.
Yeah.
And then the other one is Spike Lee and Denzel Washington. And, you get Mo Better Blues, you get Malcolm X, you get He Got Game, and you get Inside Man.
Yes.
And what's crazy about them is that they are, very different. So apparently Hitchcock and Stewart did not get along because Hitchcock is he's famous for saying, actors are cows, to be herded. He's the star.
Oh.
Hitchcock is the first director star. He's that dude. It's about him.
And I feel like Spike also took a bit of direction from him.
For
and,
sure.
Putting himself in the movies and really obscure ways.
For sure. Yes. Smart. Clever. But the relationship between Spike Lee and Denzel Washington is one of so much respect, right? And so you have one that's hella contentious, but the work, there's still Hitchcock is bringing something out of Stewart that you don't see anybody else get out of him. Because he's always the dweeb, the everyman, I don't know, he sharpens it with Hitchcock. And then you see this other one where they're just not contentious at all. There's just such a mutual respect and a platform. And when you watch interviews with them, it's oh, these motherfuckers are friends. They're finishing sentences, So yeah, I like that.
Oh, I love that. That's really fun. Mine is completely left field. It's cheddar ruffles and stone fruit. Pick a stone fruit, it'll work. My personal favorite is nectarines.
Okay.
It sounds crazy, but they go together real bad. Okay.
Okay.
It's something about that cheesy salt and then that real sweet. Oof.
Okay. What are some, just to pick, remind me, stone fruits, peaches,
nectarines, plums.
Anything with that big ass
Nice,
stone in the front.
nice.
And they're in season right now. So.
Or you can do maybe whatever your choice of chips are, barbecue chips, whatever. But mine, or the Hawaiian chips are great too.
Yeah.
But cheddar ruffles, it hits.
One bite.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If I'm gonna do it, I want to do it right. Okay.
People try to clown me, but I'm get into it.
For me, I would say anytime that people weave music and visuals together in a cool way. So I really loved Pharrell's show in Paris, where it was Jay was performing as people there was concerts as people were walking out for the fashion show and the Louis show and everything. And I love when Rihanna is with Fenty, it's an experience. So it's she's singing her music, but you're seeing her clothes. I think that is such a incredible fusion of two art forms. And it just it's overwhelming in a good way.
You're stimulated.
Yeah, I'm very stimulated.
Yeah. Okay, that's fun. So my favorite proverb, and I think it's one of Crystal's too, is if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together.
Yes.
Right? And so I feel like our journey as collaborators was kind of unintentional.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Did you guys ever sit and think about, we should work together because...
No.
There was literally no reason, right? It was just these is my friends. We want to do this. We all want to do the same thing. Let's get it together. So I also feel with many things, we had to learn how to collaborate on the job. Because acting is kind of not a team sport.
At all.
Right? Film and television is because you have all these different parts going.
So many different departments.
Right. Everyone is jumping in, giving whatever. So... what do you feel was difficult in the beginning for you guys with learning to collaborate or being in this collaborative space?
For me, the biggest hurdle was constructive communication, constructive criticism, and especially when you're writing something together, everyone's not going to have the same ideas and everyone's not going to like the same ideas. But there is a level of tact in which you need to employ to express how you feel about something. It's not just like, oh, that fucking sucks, bitch. Next, like, unless like everyone is on that kind of shit, then it's like, okay, cool. Like, it's not mean. But like, if you're dealing with different personalities, different levels of sensitivities, so like for me, it was like, okay, how do I like yes and something? Because I could very well like get into like a little beef at work, and then afterwards I'm like, okay, girl, you want to go to happy hour? And it's like, no, bitch, I hate you. And I'm like, wait, no, like that was work. Like, because I'm very
everybody's
like,
wonderful.
Yeah, and like because I'm very like work is work, play is play. Like,
Yep. And that actually perfectly tees up what was my biggest problem. What was my biggest transition was that for me, I can't do that. So now if we just got into it at work, bitch, I don't want to see you at happy hour. And I remember that distinctly happening to us in New York. We just got into it. And Meg was like, all right, let's go to happy hour. And I was like, no.
I was like, girl, what? No. We'll pick this fight up tomorrow.
Right. Like, I want to go to drinks with my friend and complain about my coworkers. But my friends is my coworkers. And so it was a journey of, and and it was a healthier thing too, to be able to like leave it. But that was like, just to have me in a chokehold in the beginning. Like, I hate these bitches, but I love these bitches. But nah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, definitely took time to figure out tools for that. Like taking breaths, just taking a transitional period of like, also just getting the work energy off of you, period, in general. Because it's like, if I'm hanging out with y'all and we doing work and then we doing, just hanging out, I got to make sure I shake the work off, period. So I would say for me in the beginning, it was finding a natural sense of everybody's strengths and weaknesses. I think that we were all, for a period, like reaching into everything, and it was like hands on all the pots. And it was like, I don't know if it's because we were young and we were in survival mode and there was a lot of control issues, but like just like grabby energy of, I got that, and it's like we all would try to do everything.
Right.
And it was like, you don't have to though. Like, you really can, like, I think over time, it takes time. Like, I'm not even mad at us. It's like that takes a journey to figure out, let things emerge. Like, so-and-so is like really good at this, or someone naturally does this, so they should probably just do that more often. Yeah, as we like to say with the communication, don't mind yoking motherfuckers, right? Yep. Very confident and happy to do it. And y'all are, I'm assuming, okay with me doing that, right? But
we let the dog out.
Yeah, but in different spaces. So,
Yeah, I mean, and you really touched on what I think is what I've learned now, for me, is one of the biggest principles of what makes a good collaboration, right, is trust. It's very, very hard to be in collaboration if you don't trust the people you're working with, if you don't trust their values, if you don't trust their work ethic, if you don't trust their talent. It's like, you're constantly then fighting, because it's like, I can't let you do your parts. Right. That's when I'm trying to be everywhere. Like, what are some other things that you guys think are essential for a good collaboration?
I think a similar vision. Like, you have to kind of be aligned in a specific way, or else it's like, why are y'all together? Like, you should go do your thing and you should go do your thing.
I would say that, like, it's also important, and I think we had to learn this with time as well and maturity, like that balance of what you're giving to the group and what you have that's on your own.
Yeah.
And like a healthy sense of self outside of the collaboration. Because I think for a while, which is beautiful, it's an amazing thing, we was trapping. Like, it was, this was it. It was 100% this. It was 100% us. And then with evolution and time, you have to find your own ways in different spaces. But I actually feel like it's like a marriage, right? When you're, I mean, I'm not married, but when you're in partnership, right, you have to find spaces of things that you just love for yourself so that you can come back and tell your partner. And it adds more juice and more flavor and more color to what you're working on together. But if it's like this sense of containment of like, it's only this, that would be like living with your husband 24/7 in the same room and never getting outside. Like, that's crazy. It's claustrophobic.
I think that's why every like girl or boy band to date has like branched off and done their own thing.
Yeah.
Like, I can't personally think of one that like they just stayed together the whole time. Like, either they had beef and they completely broke up, or like one branched off and became their own like entity.
And like, look at me thinking real hard too. I'm like, who? No, girl, they all break up. Because, I think you're right. It's just too much. It's too much. And it's the echo chamber, too, right? It's like, we're not getting anything fresh in here. It's just too
But also, like, there's a breakup, yes, but there's also just like an evolution of like, okay, this was its moment.
Yeah.
And the moment has come to an end.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting my moment and whatever.
Well, and that's why I think it's important to know what are the goals of your collaboration too. Like, what is your collaboration for?
Yeah.
You know, is it for the moment, or is it for, you know, forever? Like, what is the common goal here?
And I think with us too, I think what's interesting is that I think we have discovered that over time, because I know at first what bonded us all working together was Downtown Girls, was like the show and getting it made, right? So when it didn't go, I think by then we had already put in so much skin in the game and worked on expanding. And like we talked about earlier about putting all eggs in one basket and how like painful it was for that show not to go. But by then we had learned something about staying open, continuing to create, so that we had a longer journey together, because it wasn't like, it's not just this project. This isn't a project-based collaboration. It's like we have more to say.
And I think just having an overall thesis for what we wanted to do artistically. And I think it helped that we were aligned.
Yeah.
But we are not always aligned.
No.
It's definitely been a growing process, right? To learn how to deal with conflict, you know, inside of us, right? When we are not all aligned. I know for me, an important thing, you know, was to just be really quiet. Like if I really was in heavy disagreement with you all, I learned that I just need to be quiet for a bit, just hear everything and not be like already coming up with rebuttals in my brain. You know what I'm saying? Because in wanting it my way so bad, like the energy would be, okay, well, I'm listening to you a little bit, but I'm really just trying to figure out how I can attack your point to win with my point. You know what I'm saying? So I'm barely even hearing your idea, because the goal here is I have to win. And so like over time there was a maturing where it was just like, bitch, what is the sense of that? Why are you here with these people then? You know what I'm saying? It's like you said in the beginning, what the fuck you here? Why are we doing this? If you're not going to sit here and genuinely listen and trust. And I found that when I would listen, I was like, oh, half the time you kind of saying what I'm thinking anyway. It's just a little bit of a different coloring. You know what I'm saying? So what are some things that you guys have learned or employ when it is a difficult spot inside of the collaboration, when shit is not collaborating fluidly?
I've learned to just let go. Yeah, just let go and let's see. Like the worst that can happen is that it doesn't work, and then maybe we'll just try it my way then. But like it doesn't have to. I don't have to be right.
I've noticed that. I've noticed you just be okay. All right.
I don't have to be right. It's fine.
You guys both okay.
Yeah. Which I think is interesting, because I do feel like each of us are headstrong in our own ways. And I think we have areas of authority that overlap and then also are different. And I think it's easy to trust people when they have an area of authority that's not similar to you. But then there's that Venn diagram where it's like, we might each have things where we're both really strong in it. And it's like, that's when you can start to butt heads with people.
Yeah.
That's when you can be like, but I have a vision too. I have a vision. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's definitely like been learning to breathe and learning how to give things a little bit more time before trying to come back in immediately with like more feedback. So like learning to take actually a lot more time. I actually feel like I've learned that from y'all, because you guys are a little bit more of like a sit and then return. And I've always been more direct, like I'm going to come right back. And I was like, oh, there's value in sitting. Like there's value in really, even if it's a lot of time, even if it's like, maybe this is not the right time to bring this up, because it's like picking your battles. It's like we might have macro things we're thinking about and micro things. And it's like, okay, well, maybe this isn't the time to think about a dumbass micro thing right now.
Right.
Like maybe we need to stay focused on also joy and like fucking enjoying it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that can be tricky. I feel like the hardest times for me have been like, if we have to do something or we're super focused on a particular project and it's not fun, it makes it even harder to like come to a resolution on something. And I feel like when we're at our best, we are having fun at the same time.
Yeah. And I think that is one thing that even from our beginnings we did really smartly, was remembering to bring in the fun and like, keep the marriage fresh. And I feel like we would do that with our retreats because we've been retreating since the beginning, like since when we didn't have $1, we figured out a way to do these retreats. We would go and, just do silly stuff, play the piano, draw, sing, but also come up with ideas. And I feel like on some of those retreats, we completely rewrote versions of stuff and then didn't do nothing with it. You know what I'm saying? Then went back to the version we had before, but it just was still like invigorating. Something that could be stale.
We've done that for almost every project when I think about it. With Service Animals, we were in the pool at Cat House breaking story in cards.
Oh my God, we
with
were.
music and like in this amazing ass pool with the view. Like with Black Girl Magic, we had a retreat and watched a bunch of witchy movies. And like did some journaling and did some, So I feel like the creative game on the retreats be strong. Like
I know, right? I'm like, we should.
Y'all can hit us up if
oh my
y'all
God, we
want
made
some.
potions, guys. You had that activity to make your
We
own.
made the
I still have it.
I had and mine worked because I made that Gregory to get pregnant, and I did get pregnant.
Okay. Wow.
But that ain't right up under the pillow. Holla at me. But no, yeah. Actually, our retreats are super fucking lit, and we should probably bottle them up and I don't know, sell, give.
I smell something on the horizon. Anyway.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
So, we collaborate inside of ourselves, but also we have to collaborate with other people because we cannot do everything alone. And on every project we've done, we've had to have, producing pods, et cetera, et cetera. And I feel like in the beginning, it was just kind of like we would just, whoever we could align with, whoever would sign up, like there was not much thought behind it, similar to how we came together. It was like, okay. But, I feel like now it's more of a process. So like when we enter into these things, what are things that you're looking for in outside collaborators?
A value add. Like, what is the value add? And various different ones. There's like a name. There is creative experience. Like you can add to the actual like creative process and not just the production. There's different types of producers. Creative producers and it's like famous producers. Like
right. Are you the name or are you the work?
Name is just like the one that's gonna be in the credit, like produced by so and so. Or are you the one that's gonna roll up your sleeves and be like, let's get into the script,
right?
And let me show you the areas in which you can do better.
Are you stomping down the doors to get in the rooms? Excuse me, you need to see this.
That makes me think of one of my favorite creative collaborations we've had with Rabia Rashid. I feel like Rabia was brought on
to Black Girl Magic.
And she has, screenwriting strong, credit strong.
The creator of Atypical on Netflix has an overall deal at Sony. And our project was at Sony, and so they brought her on to our project.
Absolutely. And she literally did the work in the middle of her own show and her own processes, right? Like she was like, okay, so I read it. Here we go. Notes. And they were helpful. They were strong. They were clear. And it was clearly in the spirit of collaboration. Right. We talked about before, we've worked with people where it was just not control, but just like, it wasn't in the spirit of collaboration. It was domineering. It was like, okay, we're going to do this quickly, adjust. You adjust to me, as opposed to, hey, I have these ideas, which are brilliant ideas. What do you think of them?
Take them or leave them.
Yeah.
Like,
always.
They are in service to your project.
Yeah.
And allowing us to take ownership and lead and not take a back seat on our project.
Right. And that's the thing, it's a collaboration. It's many voices. Not just you just come up in here and fucking take my shit. So Crystal, for you, what do you look at as, walking into these things?
I do love people that I look for excitement. Like I look for people that are really excited about it and it's not just a business move. Like I feel like when we collaborated with Jeff Gaspin, who we worked on this animated show, Service Animals, with Warner Animation. He always brought such an excitement to about the project. And this is a guy that's like, been doing this, been down. But I feel like probably his mission and his principles about what he wants to do most time is aligned with, do I fuck with it? Right? Like, do I actually fuck with this? Because I think he's at the point where he can, and he also probably was intentional about that. Because compared to his long credit history at the time, it's like, yeah, we've done some things, but he didn't have to decide that he wanted to come on board and join us.
Right.
But he loved the idea.
And he would fight for it.
Yes.
He would.
He would.
That's a scrappy man from Queens.
Okay.
You know, he did not let it die. He
No.
didn't let a no deter him. Like,
Yep.
it wasn't like, okay, well, we're just gonna, wait a beat. Now
Yep.
he's like, oh, nah, I'm banging down doors. Like, you're gonna talk to me.
And I feel like from him, I learned a lot about how to be a producer.
Yeah.
Because he's such pure producer. Like, he didn't get in the way creatively. Like, yeah, he would give notes, of course, from his expertise working in television for years, but he didn't get in the way. He wasn't overbearing in that area. But like, he was a producer and would be like, if something was going left, he would get on the motherfucking phone and be like, I know these guys personally. I'm calling Sammy John, Jack John from Scooby Network. And okay, I was at his kid's bar mitzvah. I'm cussing this motherfucker out. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, and that is the shit. And I know that is fucking dead.
Yeah.
Right, but that's the motherfucker I want kicking down the doors at the birthday parties. Like, hey, I know it's your daughter's birthday, but I'm here to talk some fucking business. So I think a thing that I look for is taste. Right?
Yes.
Oh,
my goodness. This is a trifecta.
Yes.
Okay?
That's why we be winning.
Yes.
Taste.
Yes.
Taste. And even now, that's why I asked the question. I'm like, so what do you like to watch? What is your personal taste? Because sometimes people are even working for companies that don't really suit their taste, because everybody needs a job. Sometimes you just, you working at a place, whatever. But I do think that's really important, what you're into. What you like to make. Because if the taste don't add up, because if I don't think you have good taste, or you don't think I have good taste, then I don't know what we gonna do here.
Yeah.
No one's going to respond to anything.
Exactly. It's just gonna be a bunch of bad notes back and forth. It's gonna be a loser-loser.
It's like a bad relationship. Like, you're trying to make me someone I'm not, and I'm trying to make you someone you're not.
Right. Right. Yes. Yes. I mean, but see, so many things that we talk about with the collaborations are like so close to relationship.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which like makes me think right now, is I'm like, damn, is who you are in relationships similar to who you are in a collaboration?
Yes, absolutely. Because these are all relationships. Friendships are relationships.
Yeah.
Co-workers are relationships. The person you're fucking is a relationship. It's not just like this isolated box. So how you show up in all these other spaces really informs how you show up in the other ones.
Yeah, and the skills are interchangeable.
Not me really getting some shit off
Yeah,
of my
girl.
personal life right now.
Yeah.
And I'm loving it.
Yes, get it
Like,
off, girl.
what?
Yeah.
Shit.
People just, and then when you even say things like, oh, this relationship, people be like, and it's like, ain't nobody talking about that kind. It's just relationship in general. How we relate.
Damn.
Webster Dictionary, how we relate.
Damn. I mean, you do be spitting.
Yeah.
Now I'm over here stuck.
How
I'm
do you
like,
show up? And
Period.
there should be a commonality. Like, well, how you show up for your sister, how you show, like, obviously there are different levels and
Right.
intensities,
Yes.
but like who you are at the core is who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Girl, speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
But I don't think people realize that those skills is like, whether you're building a business, creating a career creatively, working with people, or collaborating at home with people, those skills go, like you said, in the same, like literally they're interchangeable and they all help each other. It's actually like, I feel like I've said this to y'all before, being in a long-term collaboration with y'all has helped me in other spaces in my life where I'm like, okay, let me decide when conflict appears, if I need to take a beat or if I actually need to lean in and communicate and be very transparent right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's still an ongoing process. We're still learning that here. Like, it's a journey, right? No one's perfect. But I do think that people underestimate, when you build that shit up over here, you really can't, you can literally just laterally move that shit over here. Like, it's very similar.
You can apply those tools in other areas of your life. Yes.
Oh my God. Ooh, I love the breakthrough moments because, like, yes, I realize now that through our collaboration, it has so much affected how I, relate to people outside of, because I remember there was a point where I was feeling very unheard inside of our collaboration. I was like talking to my therapist about it. And, she asked a very simple question. She was like, well, did you express yourself very clearly to them? And what did they say? And I was like, going back and forth. I was like, well, I mean, I'm saying little, I'm dropping hints. I don't know. And she was like, but she was like, they seem relatively reasonable, and they seem like they love you and they, care about you. You always speak so highly of them. But have you just sat down and just spoken with them? I was like, no, I guess not. And, and when I did that, it was like, I felt very heard. And it was so not a thing. It was so easy. It was like, okay. God damn, look at the evolved species. And I definitely, after that, felt the confidence to move like that in other areas in my life. Or I was like, people who love you are not out to get you. Like, they want to you're not going to be crying on this bitch. They want to see you win, And it was, I don't know, it was so empowering for me. And it was like, you can move in a powerful way and people around you will support you. Like, you just have to say it. And definitely since then, in relationships with people, I have been more like expecting to be well received,
Yeah. And like the core of it is vulnerability. Like, working with other people requires a certain level of vulnerability and openness and trust. And I'm entrusting you all with my creative future.
Yeah.
Like, and vice versa. And any other types of relationships that are collaborations also have the same kind of trust.
Yeah.
You're in an intimate one. You're trusting them with your children. You're trusting them with you as a potential wife or a husband. Like, that's a lot. A home, a mortgage. Like, these are all types of trust.
Yeah. Yeah. Whew.
But also a part of the collaboration conversation that we were having earlier about, like, one thing that we had to learn also how to delegate and
yes,
and how to take lead. And so if someone is a lead on a project, it's really not like what everyone thinks. It's like you do consider everyone's opinions, but like whatever that person wants really, it's like it's really what's going to happen.
And it actually makes the work go so much faster because when there's not a head of the fish, then it's just so much back and forth, and there's never somebody who is like, okay, heard everything, thanks so much, we're going left. So now we like to transition to a part of the show that we call Bootleg Fabulous, where we give little tips and tricks, based on the topic we're discussing. So today my question is about bad collaborations, right? And period, you can get just caught into things that really are not a good fit. Like, to speak specifically in our industry, we talked earlier about people's deals, right? So if you sell a project to Warner or you sell a project to a production company who has a deal at Warner, now it's a Warner project, Warner is going to put one of their people that they have a deal, a showrunner that has a deal with them on your project. So that already can kind of limit who you can work with at times, and you can just be put with someone.
Yeah.
So what are some tips and tricks to get through a bad collaboration that you cannot get out of? You are just in it. You're in the fucking mud. Okay, there's an end goal though. You'll get, once it's complete, you'll be out of it. But you're in the shit right now. I know this is one to think about. I really had to sit with this one because I feel like we have been in these situations before, and it was exhausting. It was every day. Every day felt like work. Shit. It's the worst project in the world. But I think one thing is to work really hard to find value in the other people, even if it's only one thing. Even if it's something as simple as, I like the way they email. I like their email signature. Just anything to cling on to bring some light inside of that collaboration.
Mine would be, I guess, like, find an advocate. There's going to be at least one person that you hate the least. And make them your person. Like, make them fall in love with you so that you can have somebody fight for you in your vision, and then you can have a safe space to communicate what your needs are.
Yeah.
And that's something that I had to do, like, in a project where it's like, okay, I don't think I resonate with the majority of these people, but there's one that I think will hear me out, so let me call him personally on his cell phone.
Yeah.
And have this conversation, and let's see what can happen.
I would say learn how and when to speak. So we've said this before, but you never want to be bad cop, especially just directly in front of other producers or teams. You have other people to do that for you. So as Michelle likes to call it, she calls it her kitchen table. She calls it when she comes home. That's when she gets petty. She sits around her. She's like, she's like, y'all think I'm first lady and I'm just out here just happy all the time? Yeah. Hell no. She was like, I get home and I bitch and I'm petty and I let myself be petty with my family. But finding the space for that, and because you do have to get it off. You do have to get it off.
Yeah,
and
you got to
get
your
it
shit off.
And I love our group chat at times. Yes, because our group chat be popping. Okay.
Oh my God. That's another tip and trick that I just thought of. Have your group chat going. Literally, sometimes when you're on note calls, when you're doing whatever, be hitting that chat like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Wait, did you see that? You know what I'm saying? And then when y'all on Zoom, y'all can stare at each other knowing something nobody else knows. Be like,
go to the gym and punch things.
Period. Yeah. You got to keep a sense of humor. So, like, let it off and be a little silly about it, but also don't, like, people sometimes think that being strong means you're being authoritative or something in a moment. It's like, that might not be the right space for that. Like, you may need to talk to your managers, or you may need to talk to your agent or your lawyer and, like, have them follow up on your behalf. But as a creative, you don't need to be, on the Zoom.
Keep it cute.
Yeah.
Keep it cute. Awesome. Well, look, guys, teamwork doth make the dream work. So find your team and, get to dreaming. So that's the end of our episode. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. I'm Chandra. You can find me at Chani.
I'm Mebs. You can find me at Amebebeyene.
I'm Crystal. You can find me at _Chris.
And we are Unglamorous Truths. You can find us at Unglamorous Truth, and you can listen to our podcast wherever you find yours.